In '77, if you had an Atari VCS/2600, all you had was this. When '78 came around, you had another option. The Odyssey² from Magnavox.
The excitement of a game, the mind of a computer.
In '81, Pac Man came along, and Atari acquired the license to make a game for their system. So what does Magnavox do? Make a clone. Casey Munchkin for the Odyssey². How many munchies can your Munchkin munch before your Munchkin's all munched out? Myriads of different mazes. In 1977, Atari came out with their VCS, later known as the 2600. It started slow, but it did get some attention, not only from consumers, but companies like Magnavox. Magnavox was the company to have the first video game console, the Odyssey, released to the general public. And by this time they were making multiple Pong clones, also titled Odyssey. And once they saw the Atari VCS, they thought, we could do this. And so when 1978 came about, the Odyssey² came with it. Released in December of that year, it claimed to have video game and computer capabilities, and the consumers bought the system, gaining a slight edge over Atari. But in 1979, Atari got the license to Space Invaders and left Magnavox in their wake. In 1981, Pac Man was introduced in the arcades and became a smash hit. Atari would acquire the license to make the home version, but before it could be released, Magnavox came in with their own puzzle game, Casey Munchkin. Casey Munchkin is a Pac Man clone without a doubt, but Pac Man was a really big craze, so I'm pretty sure nobody cared if this was the real thing or not. Well, they did care when the Atari version came out because it looked like a piece of shit. The funny thing is, Magnavox thought they could get away with this, but we'll get to that later. It's time to munch as we take a better look at Casey Munchkin. The game is self-explanatory. You're Casey Munchkin trying to get all the munchies while avoiding the three munchers. Ugh, this game of fucking munching. The different colored munchies are called blinking munchies. Very creative. Once one of them is eaten, the munchers turn blue and Casey can go and munch them. There are only 12 munchies. They start in groups of 3 at each corner, but as you munch them, they start to scatter and increase in speed. Once you get all the munchies in the stage, you munch and repeat. Now let's move on before I get into this shit too much. Fuck! Doesn't have any. Next! This game has a couple of mazes to this one, a total of 4 others to make 5 in all. There is one other game type to keep it interesting, and that's having the mazes go invisible. But if you do get bored of the normal stages, never fear, because you can create your own mazes. For a Pac Man clone, it's got variety, and this is before Miss Pac Man, and that's what makes the game good. But what makes it memorable is its controversy. As mentioned before, this game is a Pac Man clone, and Atari sued Magnavox on grounds that the game was indeed a ripoff of Pac Man and they didn't have the rights to make it. Atari would win the case on appeal and the game ceased to be released. This case is the first to establish how copyright would be implemented in video games. However, this game did get a sequel called Casey's Crazy Chase, where instead Casey's not eating munchies, but he's eating parts of the Dratapillar's body. Atari's Pac Man did come out in March of '82, and we all know how that went. So, what is my overall rating for this game? 8.7. Pac-Man clone or not, it's still a good game. Has variety, which makes good for replay value. And hell, if I had to choose between Pac-Man for the Atari and KC for the Odyssey², I'm munching all the way. But that's only my opinion. If you have your own thoughts, leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others would enjoy it, share it around the web. And if you want to see more, subscribe. Anyway, this has been BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, KC Munchkin for the Odyssey²